Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenith, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. What are we doing today? Today we have a balance patch actually. It actually came out a day before it was supposed to. We got the balance patch notes, and Riot basically messed up and they put the balance patch out a day early, so it's actually out right now. But we're gonna be looking at the balance patch 3.10.0, I believe are the numbers. We're going to be talking about the changes, giving our overall feelings on the balance patch, trying to make some predictions, talk about like what decks we think are going to be good in the future, what decks are going to probably be bad, and overall thoughts on whether we like or dislike the patch, what we would have liked to have seen more of, etc., etc. Basically, we're giving some impressions and thoughts on the balance patch. Also going to look at the beautiful skins too, of course, because we got quite a few. But mostly just going to be looking at the balance changes. So let's go and look at the cards really quick, because there are quite a few of them, so it's probably going to be a fairly long video. So patch 3.10.0. First off, besides any card balance changes, some gameplay changes. First off, Scout is no longer a generatable keyword. I don't know if I like this. I mean, like, at its core, I've kind of hated Scout. Like, seeing someone roll Scout on, say, like a Pantheon or something always feels really, really strong and feels bad. But it's like, does that mean if a keyword is too strong, it just won't be generatable now from, like, for Pantheon, Victor, Arsenal, etc., etc.? So if they make another strong keyword, I don't know. So, and what's like the limit? What is if Scout is too strong, some people might say like, oh, well, lifesteal is too strong, or regen or something, etc., etc. So I don't know. I hope this isn't a common thing where they just are like, random stuff is not generatable like Scouts is, because it feels kind of weird. It feels like a bandage to a bigger issue, but whatever. Scout's annoying, so I'm in favor of it. Second change that I actually really like is that copied spells now count as being played. So Karma, Taric, Mirror Mage, Jace. This is really nice, especially for me, because I love playing Karma. Things like Spooky Karma, Karma Lux, and having Karma not actually play the second spell was kind of really bad for things like Eye of the Dragon, Go Hard not technically being played, so it doesn't get counted. Karma's second spell counting towards a Lux laser beam, basically a final spark's also nice. Jace copying the 6-mana spell while you have a Heimer on the field, so you get 2 elusives is also pretty sweet. So this is really nice too. Big fan of it. We knew it was coming though for a while, so it's nothing like out of the blue. So, you know, we knew this was happening, but it's nice to see it. Anyway, let's go into the part of the patch that probably most people care about the most. The balance changes, and we'll start with champions first. So first card is Ashe. Pretty much a bug fix change here, but it seems like it's also a buff. So Ashe is now, for her level up, is going to count power reduction on units that already have 0 power. So that's nice. You can freeze something already if it's already frozen just to level up Ashe. Also really good against formidable units, say like a Broadwing or a Galio. Just freeze them and you can level up Ashe. So that's really nice. They even basically say this is part of a bug fix, etc., etc. But still nice though, along with some of the other buffs and stuff. So maybe we can see some Ashe back. Bard now counts units that buff their own stats towards his level up. I didn't actually know he wasn't doing that. I thought he did, but it's kind of weird that Bard, I think there's another change, like another bug fix for Bard. So Bard's kind of actually getting buffed in this patch, which is kind of crazy when Bard's probably the most played champ in the game. And they're even saying, we want to open up additional deck building possibilities for Bard and address confusion around what counts for his level up quest. Second part of that line makes sense, addressing confusion. First part, I don't really agree with that. I feel like Bard is kind of the most played champion, one of, if not the most played champion. I don't actually know the stats on champions at the moment. I also feel like he has the biggest amount of decks. There's so many different pairings. Bard Demacia has like 3 different decks, like Bard Poppy, Bard Galio, and then you have like Bard Poppy J4, Bard Garen Poppy J4, whatever, Bard Ari, Bard Zed. I've seen Bard Lulu, Bard Aphelios, Bard Zoe, Bard Viego, and you can keep going in all honesty, because Bard is crazy strong. The chimes are what's strong. Bard himself, not actually that strong. Chimes are just so powerful, so kind of weird that not nerfing anything with Bard, but whatever. Next card, I love this. I both hate this because I like playing Ezreal, but I love how they nerf Ezreal. They don't even give any text saying anything. They just said, yeah, Ezreal now needs to target 8 stuff to level up. No explanation. Just, yeah, we're nerfing him. I mean, yeah, I like this nerf. Like, even though I love Ezreal, I love control decks, Karma Ezreal, Annie Ezreal, etc., etc. I will say this, with the playcast merge, I feel like they kind of needed to nerf Ezreal some way, because it does feel bad to take like 10 plus damage in 1 turn at burst speed from an Ezreal. So this level up nerf does slow him down by like a turn or 2, I would say, on average. So it's whatever. And I also like that I think that if they had left Ezreal as he is now, it kind of is a design, a wall, if you will, where it's like every time they create, they probably are still going to do this, but every time they create a cheap spell that targets, they have to think, how is this going to work with Ezreal? And sometimes something will slip through the cracks and a really strong deck will pop up, something like Ezreal Kennen did. Next up, though, Hecarim. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this is going to be enough to make Hecarim tier 1. I think Hecarim is going to be tier 2, but this is such a powerful buff, though. So Hecarim used to just have an aura about him, basically. When you level up Hecarim, he gives your ephemeral allies +3/+0, but only while he's on the field. Now he's kind of working like a Tibalt. So when Hecarim levels up, your ephemerals will have +3/+0. All of them. Everywhere, your ephemerals will get +3/+0. So, you know, your shark chariots that are dead. Dragonlings. So maybe you can do some, like, Eye of the Dragon shenanigans. Zed's clone, basically. So, Sand Soldiers. There's a lot of things to think about with Hecarim here. The problem with this is it's really, really difficult to level up Hecarim. I think you have to... I can't honestly even remember his level up condition. I think it's summon 7 ephemeral allies. I think it's summon. I don't think they have to attack. I think it's just summon. But that's crazy. That's a lot. That's really, really hard. I've played against quite a few Hecarim players, and they always seem to struggle to level up Hecarim. So I feel like if you're going to play Hecarim, you're probably going to try to level him up, because if not, it's like the buff doesn't really change much. You might say like, oh, well, what about harrowing? Well, you're harrowing Hecarim, harrowing into a Hecarim level up into an attack. That the buff doesn't really do much, because that harrowing probably wins the game right away. But I don't know. I like it. It's a very, very powerful buff, though. And if you are able to level up Hecarim right away, this is very scary. Maybe like a Hecarim, Lucian, some like ephemeral Grand Plaza shenanigans. Like that kind of existed back when Plaza first came out, so maybe it can come back. Because again, it's a very powerful effect. Or maybe like Azir Hecarim. So I think there's a lot of options to play with around here, but I don't think any of them will be tier 1. But I think it will definitely be at least one that will be tier 2. This is a very powerful buff if you can get it off. A very great reward, I guess, for leveling up Hecarim. Irelia, she basically just has a tune now. Everything else is the same, which is whatever. Over the course of several archetype nerfs, Irelia has become much less satisfying. We want to strike a cleaner balance between her power and her gameplay satisfaction. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really care if Irelia stays dead, because she is a very annoying card. Azir Irelia, though, always does seem to pop up every now and again in response to the meta. It was actually popping up in the last meta in response to Turbo Thralls. It actually had a really good matchup against Turbo Thralls. So this is going to be nice, though, for those players who try to play counter decks for whatever is the top meta. If a deck that becomes a top tier deck is just weak to Azir Irelia, this is just nice for those decks. But this will not make... I don't think this is the buff to make Azir Irelia tier 1 again. Like, two mana Flawless Duet is just too much mana for a 0 Irelia. It's already a very tight on, a deck tight on mana, and that's just too much mana, even with Irelia having a tune. Next up, Calista. Simple change here, just a stat swap. She's now a 3/4 instead of a 4/3. I've seen some people actually even saying, is this really a buff? I agree. I'd say it's a buff. Calista is a champion who wants to level up, so she needs to sit in the back. Seeing those units survive, 3 health is kind of fragile, as we've seen from things like Kindred as well. So going up to 4 health is really, really powerful, and she doesn't even have her mana change, so that's lovely too. Just a full-on, I'd say it's overall a buff. Sure, she dies to Calling Strike, you might say, but really, in all honesty, not many decks play Calling Strike anymore. Barely any. And Shen. Good old Shen. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't understand this buff. He now has barrier. So, like, why? That's all I'm going to say is, like, why? I get it. I can read here. They're saying, like, they're making it so he has barrier to let him be able to attack more safely and live the Shen dream. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the Shen dream is. Leveling up Shen? Whatever. But, like, so Shen now has barrier, and they increase his level up by 1, which makes sense because Shen now has barrier, and I'm pretty sure that will count towards the Shen level up. So it's basically not actually increasing his level up requirement in any way. I don't know. I feel like the problem with Shen decks is they just run out of resources quickly. Like, that, and the other problem is Shen Demacia seems to be what Shen wants to be in, like Shen Fiora, Shen J4. I just feel like there's better. Like, so Shen Demacia in general is a mid-range deck. Bard Demacia, in my opinion, just does all of that better. And you kind of have some card draw. Not really, but I don't know. Here, I'll put it this way. I honestly think if they had just not buffed Shen and instead buffed Fiora and just made Fiora a 3/3 again, that'd be a much more substantial buff for Shen seeing play. But I know a lot of, like, I don't know how to say this without being mean, but, like, bad players, you know, the iron, bronze, forever bronze kind of players, the casuals, I guess is a good way of saying it. They hate Fiora because they just don't really understand how to play around Fiora, which is basically just kill Fiora or go around her. And they hate Fiora, so I feel like Riot will never... I feel like there are cards like Fiora who will never get a buff into, or be buffed into playability again. On purpose, of course. But yeah, the Shen buff, it's fine, but I just don't think it's enough to help Shen and Shen decks out. I feel like they just need they need something else, like card generation. Demacia needs to have something, or I don't know, and it needs something more, and this is not it, in my opinion. And that's it for the champions. I'll be honest with you, like, for the champions, like, I'm kind of hate that there's no Bard nerf, but Bard is relatively new, and these balance patches do happen a few weeks before they actually go out. I like the Ezreal nerf, even though I love playing Ezreal, especially Ezreal Annie lately, but whatever. With the Karma spell reversion, maybe we can try an Ezreal Karma again, but I honestly don't think it's good enough. Ashe, maybe Ashe LeBlanc can come back. Hecarim seems powerful. Irelia's just it's just nice. It's nice that she has that, but it's not really doing much. I honestly don't think the problem with Calista decks was the fact that she had 3 health, but it is nice that she's a little more durable. Shen, same, pretty much. I don't think the problem with Shen was that Shen died easily. He didn't even really die easily because you had things like Sharp Sight or Twin anyway. But I guess it's nice to not have to use a Sharp Sight or Twin on the first Shen, so... Yeah, I don't really see Shen coming back, but I'll try Shen J4 a bit. Maybe a Shen Poppy deck, but Shen Poppy, actually, no, never mind. Because Poppy won't buff Shen. If Poppy buffed Shen, I would try Shen Poppy, but not anymore. Anyway, to the non-champions. First off, what do we have here? Aftershock. Aftershock is now 3 mana. It also can't go face, so they made it cheaper, which I honestly hate. I really don't like that Aftershock is cheap now. But the trade-off is it can't go face, so this is both... I don't know. It's like it's pushing out other PNZ removal, like Gotcha, I guess. Like, I don't feel like I would ever play Gotcha now over Aftershock. You might say, like, well, Gotcha's fast and this is slow. And I'm like, yeah, it is slow, but it can destroy landmarks. Also, poor burn players. I feel like Aftershock was huge for burn players, just burning people out. So that has to suck for them. I will also say this. Like, this really, really makes me like the PNZ Telstones, though. 4 mana for Aftershock. I was already playing 4 mana Aftershock main deck, so sure, I'll play, like, Telstone over Aftershock now a lot of the time. I don't know. I think this is a really, really scary buff for certain decks. Along with the play cast buff again, the copied spells being counted as spells now, basically. Karma. I think Karma Ezreal might be able to come back using this, even though, like, sure, the Ezreal nerf hurts, but not that much for Karma Ezreal. Next up, Avatar of the Tides. It's a 4/6, not much to talk about. With some of these buffs, in all honesty, there's not going to be much to talk about because there's smallish buffs like this. Yeah, Avatar is fun and all, like, especially if you level up a Victor and have a level up Victor on board while you Avatar them. You can do some shenanigans there, but I don't know. I think it's going to be mostly a meme. I don't think it's just a good enough finisher. Shell Folk, this card is not, I'd say. Really, I don't know. Like, I feel like it just needs something. If it had a tune, I'd like it a little more, maybe. I don't know. Avarosan Hearthguard, they finally unnerfed him. I can't even remember. He's been a 5/5 forever. I kind of forgot he was a 5/6, so he's a 5/6 again, which is kind of nice. He can trade relatively well. 5/6 for 5 is really good stats, but the game's kind of gone past the point of just good stats for its cost is good. So it is a little slow, and I don't know. I think Bard just invalidates Hearthguard, but it might work with, like, again, like I said, Ashe LeBlanc. Maybe Ashe LeBlanc can come back with this Ashe's buff, Gray Apothecary as well. And I think there might be a couple more buffs for Ashe LeBlanc here. You could even play, yeah, Babbling Bjerg is definitely something you could play at Ashe LeBlanc too. I kind of like this buff, even though it's only a health buff, making him a 3/4. He actually survives damage now, or survives combat. Used to be able to just trade for a 2-drop, which feels bad, but now he can actually trade with 2s and some 3-drops as well. So that's nice. Usually you would have to, when you drop Babbling Bjerg, you're like, okay, I'll take a tempo hit just to draw the card. But now it's not great stats for the cost. Like a 3/4 for 4 is bad stats for a cost. You'd expect that from a 3-drop, but for 1 extra mana, you're getting a card. A very specific type of card too, a unit that's relatively big. So I don't know, I like it. Seems solid. Ashe LeBlanc, basically. Caretaker is now a 2/1 again. They unnerfed it. Along this with Hecarim, seems pretty solid too. Maybe Nasus can come back, like some Lucian Hecarims too with Plaza, as I mentioned before, but I think we've gone a little... I think the power level back when Blighted Caretaker was a top tier card that had to be nerfed, I think the power level of that kind of meta is much lower than what we're at currently, so not really sure how much this will change things, but it's a little scary. And Mini-Morph's not that powerful, so maybe Nasus can come back. Now this card right here is what I look at this card, this nerf, and it has me judging a lot of things. So Bright Seal Protector is now a 2/1. That's a huge nerf. Losing a 1/1, a full 1/1 of stats is insane. I thought this card needed a nerf myself. I thought this card should be a 2/2, basically unable to block Fearsome. Your 2-drop dying to a ping is insanely bad for you. You might say, like, well, streamer, is that bad? It's like, yeah, it's pretty bad for tempo. It's like, you're not blocking anything with this Bright Seal. And I think they probably went for the -1/-1 nerf because they realized that giving barrier to a unit is really powerful. Giving it to, like, a challenger, like Fleet Feather, is really, really strong. But this is such a big nerf for Demacia decks. I believe this was the second or third most played Demacia card. I think it went like Broadwing, then Sharpsight, then Bright Seal Protector. So this does hurt a key part of a lot of Demacia decks. So while Bard's not being nerfed, this might hurt Bard Demacia a lot, but so what? The Bard core is still around. Just switch to a different deck like Bard Ari right? The second best Bard deck, which I know some people argued it was actually the best deck, and people just didn't know it from the last set. Okay, Cam of War and Dragon. I love this card. 4 mana, 4/3. Fearsome and Fury. Play, strike an ally, or deal 3 to your Nexus. When it slays a unit, drain 1 from the enemy Nexus. It's now a 4/4. Just 1 health buff, but that's pretty big. It's really good at stonewalling aggro. While it's only draining 1 and it's kind of hard for it to get a lot of health quickly, it does really help you against aggressive decks. Here's the problem. There aren't that many aggressive decks in the meta. It's also solid against mid-range, though. Here's the other issue. What deck wants this? The kind of decks that want this are really bad. Like a Swain Shadow Isles deck? I've been trying this out in Thresh Aurelion Soul. It's okay in Thresh Aurelion Soul. I do struggle every now and again to actually have something to kill. I almost never want to play this and have it hit my face unless I really, really just need a 4-mana 4/4 body, I guess. So I don't know, like I've been playing Fading Icons and Minions to try and have fodder to sacrifice to the dragon, but it's very powerful if you can get it on the field and tough to deal with for your opponents if you can get that first initial strike to make it basically a 4-mana 5/5 dragon. So big fan of this card, love this card. It's definitely a pet favorite of mine, but I don't think this buff will make it a meta contender. Chief Knuckletalk. So used to be a 3/3, now it's a 2/4. Okay, much more durable, sure. Used to be Knuckletalk said, when an ally transforms, heal it, grant it +1/+1. Now, it still does all of that. It's still, when the ally transforms, it's still a full heal and it gets +1/+1. It also gets impact now. Timelines? I can't actually remember if Timelines works with Knuckletalk, but maybe some Timeline stuff. Maybe we can try a Gnar mid-range deck again, like a Poke City deck, I think is the name of that archetype. Would, you know, like, I think it played like Ziggs and Gnar and Teeny Dactyl and other things, and then you could even throw in like Bitsy Lizard and the Toad for 5 mana, along with like some Knuckletalks. Maybe that's something. It feels a little clunky. It feels like it's a little slow and smaller than other mid-range decks, because that's definitely a mid-rangey deck and mid-rangey tempo deck, and I feel like there's better options for mid-range-ish tempo. Big fan of this one. Crumble is now 4 mana, not much to talk about here. I would have preferred if they made it a fast speed spell, but that's definitely much more powerful to make it a 5 mana fast spell instead of a 4 mana slow spell. Similar to Aftershock, very nice for the Shadow Isles Telstones, so this actually makes me want to play the Shadow Isles Telstones more. Problem is, unlike the PNZ Telstones, the Shadow Isle Telstone spells aren't as good on average. Like, there's Mark of the Isles and the 5 mana Spirit something, the Kindred spell, which is like a really, really bad Hourglass, but not really even that. So, I don't know. I like the change, though. I think 4 mana Crumble is solid. Disintegrate gets nerfed. Disintegrate now, damage mitigation now prevents units dying from Disintegrate's effects. Basically, this means Barrier is stopping Disintegrate, so as will Tough. So that's kind of nice. A lot of people I know complain where it's like, why is Disintegrate still killing my unit even though it has Barrier? And it's nice that they've done this. Like, I don't actually see this honestly as a nerf. It is a nerf, yes, but I see this as more of a bug fix / wording clarification change than an actual nerf. But it is a nerf if you want to be literal about it. But yeah, this along with the Ezreal nerf kind of makes Anti-Ezreal a little sad, but whatever. Anti-Ezreal was a favorite deck of mine, but it's okay. It was a little powerful. Ember Monk, so what? That's all I can say about this card. Is like, okay, sure. They made it 3 mana, so that's cool. It used to be 4 mana and a 3/3. Now it's a 2/3. Summon another ally, grant me +1/+0. And he has quick attack. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know what you're supposed to do with this guy. Ember Monk was too inefficient to function within its archetype, so we're lowering its cost. What's the archetype it's supposed to go in? Ari Kennen? I'd rather just play elusive stuff than this, or other protection spells or something, than playing Ember Monk. Don't really see what Ember Monk's trying to do. You can't even really play it in a Irelia because it's a Bandle card, and a Irelia is Ionia Shurima. So I'm not a fan of this card. I don't really think this card is playable at all at 3 mana. Maybe if it was like a 2 mana 1/3 or even a 2 mana 0/3, maybe. But I don't see this being played. I don't want to spend, in other words, I don't want to spend 3 mana to summon a 2/3 with quick attack. So yeah, not a fan of this card. Financier is getting a small nerf. It's now a 2 mana 2/1. Basically, it got Conchologist, which, you know, a lot of us saw this coming. It's a 2 mana 2/2, draw a card, basically, is really strong, especially when the card is not just being drawn, but being manifested, so you get some options, and then the RNG is even mitigated by making it so it's a 6+ cost spell from your region. So yeah, basically means that you can't rely on this too much. Like, I know some people will rely on this as their main 2-drop to slow down aggressive decks. Dying to a Ping is really, really big though, so you might have to play more things like Hell Spiders or other 2-drops to try and slow down aggro. Lantern gets nerfed. Gleaming Lantern is now a 3/2 instead of a 3/3. Huge nerf. Love it. I will say this though. While I feel like this is them aiming at Papercraft Dragons, Fey decks, here's the funny thing. One of the best Fey decks didn't actually play Gleaming Lantern. Granted, I say Fey, but its only Fey was like Papercraft and Rainbow Fish, and that is Fizz Riven. There were 2 versions of Fizz Riven. Fizz Riven that ran Gleaming Lantern and more Fey, and the one that I think was even better, which was the Fizz Riven that ran no Lantern, no like Fey Sprout, but just Papercraft Dragon and Rainbow Fish. And that deck got untouched, so that's actually a really scary deck. But yeah, this kills a Phalios. Like, a Phalios with Lantern is kind of dead now because of this, but whatever. Hothead is now a 3/3. Went from a 4/2 to a 3/3, so that's nice. Survives Mystic Shot, survives Avalanche, really nice. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see why you would ever play this deck. Maybe in like a severe deck, sure, but even then I'm not a big fan. I think we got a Kaisa trailer showing off some of the artwork for Kaisa and her followers, but no actual cards. I believe the guy who was talking in the video though said Kaisa is gonna care about keywords, so maybe Hothead Kaisa. But yeah, it's just nice that it doesn't die to Mystic Shot. So overall, nice buff for Hothead, but whatever. And Inspiring Marshal is now a 5/6 again. This is fine, I think, but it's still a 6 mana card. Sure, it's not an Irelia card, but again, 2 mana blades are 2 mana for the Blade Dance 2. I can't remember the name of the card. It's just too expensive, so I don't think Irelia is coming back outside of being coming back as a counter deck for a top tier meta deck, and I just don't see that happening. What else do we have here? Justice Rider is now a 3/5. 4 mana for a 3/5. That's a big butt. That's a lot of health for a 4-drop. Like, 5 is like crazy good. It's like Yordle Sergeant? I don't actually remember the name of the guy. The 4 mana 3/5 guy that gives you poison darts. He had to actually get nerfed because he used to give you a poison dart when you summoned him, and he gave you a poison dart every time he attacked. Now he only gives you a poison dart when you attack. One of the reasons that guy was so good was because, well, 1, you got a poison dart right away, even if they removed him. But 2, he had really big stats. Like, 3/5 was huge. Now, here's the problem. Compared to Justice Rider doesn't really do anything when she's summoned. She needs to wait for your opponent to draw cards, and then she'll put flash bombs in the deck. And then, like a lot of flash bomb cards, you still have to wait for those flash bombs to actually show up. So that's a lot of waiting for not much payoff. Sure, she blocks relatively well now because of her 5 health. But what deck wants this? Like, Caitlyn? I don't know. I don't think, like, Caitlyn Tribeam wants this. Caitlyn Teemo? I feel like this is a little too slow even for Caitlyn Teemo. And outside of that, I'm not really a fan of this in any other kind of deck. So, yeah. Not really a big fan of this buff. It just feels kind of just feels like they're looking at the card and like, how can we make flash bombs better? Just throw 1 health at Justice Rider and call it a day. Kairi the Return, the big Kairi. He is now a 5-drop instead of a 6-drop, and he starts with as a 3/3 instead of a 4/4. This is actually a big buff. Like, I don't think Kairi will be a top tier meta contender. I don't even think he will be a meta choice in like tier 2, but maybe a tier 3 deck. 6-mana Kairi, or big Kairi, whatever you want to call this guy. He is very strong and he gets very big very fast, but he was really slow at 6 mana. Here's the other problem. While I think this card was good, I'm looking at older metas too. I'm looking at like when Shurima first came out, when Bandle City first came out. I was like, yeah, Kairi would be decent if it was 5 mana. Now though, with Bard and other things, I'm not really too excited to try to do the whole prediction dance and make Kairi really big, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's like a Kairi, what's it called? The Kairi Legion Deserter combo, Legion Deserter deck. That could be cute. Lady of Blood is now a 3/4 instead of a 2/4. Not much to talk about with this. It's nice that she can block Fearsomes, but she still kind of has the problem of the copies of the discarded card are fleeting, so you still need all the mana to cast that fleeting copy or else it's gone. So yeah, I don't think Lady of Blood is going to see play, but it is a nice buff. Lava Lizard, this with Knuckletalk buff actually is kind of maybe impactful. And I'm not saying that as a joke because of the buff. But yeah, Lava Lizard now has impact. Bitsy Lizard is the pre-transformed version of Lava Lizard. I think it's called Bitsy Lizard, which is just a 2-mana 1/2. And like a lot of the transform cards from Gnar and Friends, you have to damage. If you have damaged your opponent, Bitsy Lizard will transform at the end of the turn, transforming into Lava Lizard, and pretty much all the other transform cards have impact, except for Lava Lizard and I guess level 2 Gnar. So it's kind of nice that this thing gives a little bit more early game to more aggressive Gnar decks, but honestly, I feel like I'd rather just play Stone Stackers even then. Like, I think, like, that's the other issue. I feel like Lava Lizard is fighting for the 2-drop slot with Stone Stackers, and I still feel like Stone Stackers is just a little bit better because Stone Stackers just helps you keep getting those impacts, that damage on face to keep flipping over your other transform cards like Teeny Dactyl. Alright, and we were speaking about Legion Deserter a bit before. He is now Fearsome. Instead of having Overwhelm, they took away his Overwhelm, and now he's got Fearsome instead. Huge nerf to Red Viego, whatever you want to call it. One of the strengths of Red Viego was that you just kept summoning big boys over big and more big boys and pushing so much pressure, and it was hard to block them too because of their keywords. Viego and Hydrovine had Fearsome, while Deserter had Overwhelm. Overwhelm lets you push in so much damage. Sure, you can chump this a little bit if you have the blockers, and it's not that easy to chump because of Fearsome, but this is a big nerf. Still a good atrocity target though, so I think Red Viego might probably still exist in all honesty, but I'm not sure if Red Viego is gonna be the Viego deck of choice now. Maybe Viego Shurima, Mono Viego will be the primary Viego deck. And instead of just, giving up your protection spells for more big guys, you'll give up the big guys for more protection, which is what Mono Viego Shurima does. I like this buff. Merkwolf Shaman is now a 2/4 instead of a 3/3. This means his leveled up form, his flipped form, is now a 4/6. I'm pretty sure he was a 5/5 before. I feel like this is a typo for them saying he's a 5/6. Because that'd be kind of weird if he was a 5/6. I played this guy before. I'm like 90% sure he was a 5/5 when he flipped, but I don't know. I like the guy. Very powerful with Bard, of course. You get 1 Bard Chime on this guy. He's a 4-mana 3/5 with regen, who can potentially flip into the Rager, which will be a 5/7 who drew you a card. Insanely hard to remove because of regen, of course. So very, 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 very big fan of this guy and this buff. All right, Broadwing. I mean, everyone kind of knew this card was coming. This card was just so OP. So good. It was even being played over like Dragon Lieutenant or Dragon whatever, the 2-mana 3/2 Dragon Challenger guy. The fact that it was being played over that guy when you had already Behold a Dragon just for that card, and this card didn't even have any downside. You never really had any deck building costs or having to behold anything. Kind of showed off how strong Broadwing was. So they basically fleet feathered it. Now Broadwing has no challenger and is just formidable. It needs to see you summon an ally to get challenger. So that's really nice. That means it can't just come down right away and start fighting. It needs to see another thing. Still pretty good for more control-y decks though, like Lux decks. So it's still a 2-mana 0/3 on the turn it comes down, which Lux decks are fine with. It still blocks really well, so that's pretty sweet. But a big nerf. Along with the Bright Steel Protector nerf, this is a huge nerf to more mid-rangey Demacia decks, which I'll be honest with you, I don't like mid-range Demacia, so screw them. And they killed Turbo Thralls. Promising Future. This is the taken out back behind the barn and shot in the back of the head kind of nerf. Promising Future is now 6 mana. It was previously 4 mana. This is, yeah, this is a huge nerf. I know some people are already joking like, oh, it's a Jace buff. It's not a Jace buff. It's also kind of a nerf to Financier too. You might say like, what if you're not in Shurima? Yeah, but there's that one 6-mana spell that changes into an expensive spell every turn, even spells that are not in your region. So it could change into Promising Future, which is probably going to be useless for you. So kind of nerf for that card too, and Financier. So whatever. But yeah, this is probably going to kill Thralls, I'd say. Thralls outside of this card though, it's not crazy because I like this because Thralls got a lot of good cards in the last set. Well, I think like 2. In other words, their consistency in the early game was elevated so much and smoothed out so much that Promising Future getting nerfed seems fine to me. So I think Thralls can actually kind of exist as a strong tier 2 deck, but it won't just be the really high rolly, I got like 4 Thralls on turn 5 kind of deck, which you would see sometimes and you would just lose because that's almost impossible to beat. And more Shurima nerfs too. Quicksand now, if you split it up, it is now giving the 2 enemies -1/-0 instead of -2/-0. Not much to talk about with this. Sure, it's a little worse defensively when you're trying to split up the debuff, but it's still a very strong card. Basically, it's 2 hushes for 1 card, so that's really, really strong. Basically, you're going to be using it against elusives, but this buff basically means if you're having to silence or remove keywords of 2 units, your units might not survive anymore. So I like this nerf. Even as a person who plays Quicksands a lot, I like this nerf. I feel it is really strong, and I feel like Quicksand was a little too strong after its buff. I don't understand this buff, though. Resplendent Stellacorn is now a 5/6. If you don't know this card, I can't blame you. It used to be a 5-mana 4/5. When you play it, heal an ally and your Nexus for 3 mana. Kind of like a bigger, fatter, kindly Tavern Keeper. Sure, 5/6 for 5 is good stats, but I'm looking for more than good stats once I start to hit 5 mana. And I'll be honest with you, this playability is not enough to draw me into playing a 5 mana 5/6. Maybe in a Soraka deck, but that's all I can really see is like a Soraka deck. I don't think I would play this in like an Aurelion Soul deck, a Zoe deck, an Aphelios deck, Diana, etc., etc. So, like, pretty much Soraka or not interested in all at this card. Oh, this card. This is actually really scary. So, Riptide Rex, first off, got a stat buff. He got a +1/+1 stat buff, so he's a 7/5. So, you know, that's great. So he's really big now. And now he's doing 7 cannon barrages instead of 6. So they gave him an extra cannon barrage, and they gave him +1/+1. And here's the thing. Riptide Rex was already in a solid tier 2 deck. So, and if you don't know what that deck, it was like a Annie TF, Annie Swain, basically Annie Bilgewater, Noxus Bilgewater, Conservatory. You play Tibalt. Tibalt buffs up Riptide Rex's cannon barrages, and the cannon barrages powered up by Tibalt just lay waste to your opponent's board and maybe their face. So that's so much more damage now because of this extra buff. I honestly think Annie TF might become a strong tier 1 or at least high tier 2 deck. I don't think this will bring back Plunder, but maybe like Illaoi Sejuani with Riptide Rex. I still feel like Sejuani Gangplank would rather run Dreadway over Rex, but I don't know. Plunder might love this card again. Maybe even Swain. Like Swain, maybe like Ezreal TF can come back with this too. Like this card was so big when it first came out, and they had to nerf it to the Styx cannons. Maybe the game is still a little too fast for the old Rex, but I think this is going to be really scary alongside Tibulk at the very least. And probably more decks. Next up, Sands of Time. Instant Sentry is now fleeting. So between this and Promising Future, Turbo Thralls is not looking too good. Turbo Thralls doesn't really care too much about the Sentry being fleeting. Instant Sentry being fleeting honestly hurts the Infinite Action deck more, which is nice because I hate that deck and I hate playing against that deck because it screws me over and beats me up all the time and I cry and wait for my opponent to kill me because it takes them like 5 minutes to combo usually. So I like that. I like that Infinite Action got nerfed a little bit with this nerf, but it's not a big nerf really, so whatever. Squeaker is now a 1-2. Not dying to a ping is pretty good. I just still think Mecha Yordles are just too mid-rangey and fair, and other mid-range decks just do what they want to do but better. Basically, I feel like why would you play Squeaker and very heavy Mecha Yordle deck when you could just play like Draven Scion, Draven Rumble, etc., and play other discard stuff like the Fallen Rider and Twin Blades or something. Arsenal got a 1/1 buff, whatever. They even are saying like it's basically just to make up for Scout being removed as a generatable keyword, which it's whatever, sure. I mean, Scouts or Arsenal pretty much only goes in Sarasillion. Sometimes some Talia decks, I guess, would play him, but there are other problems for Arsenal than, I don't know, getting a 1/1 buff. He needs more than just a 1/1. The rest of his deck needs to catch up, I feel. Prefect's now a 2/3 instead of a 1/3. This does put it more in line with Iron Ballista, which I like to compare it to. Iron Ballista is a 3-mana Noxus card. 3-mana 4/3 Noxus card with Overwhelm. So now you need to hit two. You need to get 2 activations for Prefect to make it equal to an Iron Ballista. So you'd want to hit 3 to make this better than Iron Ballista, or else, and if you don't think you could, you'd rather just be better off playing Iron Ballista. Still don't think it's good enough to play, but maybe Annie Jin would like this. Outside of that, no. Trifarian Assessor is now a 4 cost again. They unnerfed it basically. I've mentioned it numerous times throughout this video. Ashe LeBlanc with Trifarian Assessor seems fairly decent now. Definitely probably a tier 2 deck, depending on how strong freezes are in the meta. So really scared of this card. I've definitely been on the receiving end of this card, drawing like 5 or 6 cards. It's very annoying when it happens. Vanguard First Blade, I'll be honest with you, didn't know what this card was when I first saw it was getting buffed. But yeah, so guy used to be a 4-mana 2/2. Now he's a 4-mana 3/3. And if he attacks, he gets +2/+2. Not dying to Mystic Shot's nice. I love how even Riot themselves are like, yeah, it's a random elite buff. Like, what's a patch without a random elite buff? And it's like, yeah, this just feels really random. I don't really see why I would play this in a 4-drop slot over in a Demacia deck over, say, like Bannerman or Poppy or Swiftwing, whatever the 3/2 Swiftwing is that creates another challenger. I just feel like there are better options in the 4-mana slot. Plus, it has to attack too. Sure, it attacks in and it becomes really big. 4-mana 5/5 with the first attack, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if you want elites to be good, Riot, I feel like you need elite payoff, and to stop buffing the elites themselves, and you need more elite payoff. Because at the moment, I just don't feel like there's enough elite payoff for me to want to put bad elites in my deck, like this guy. I still think this card is bad. Windfarer Hatchling, I'll be honest with you, I don't think this buff is doing much. It is now a 4/3 instead of a 4/2. Sure, it doesn't die to Mystic Shot and Avalanche, but I don't really think it does much. I kind of hate their reasoning, though. It says, with the release of World Walker, Ionia has been underrepresented overall. We're providing elusive decks some more power to finish out games. Why is it when Ionia is not being played that much, they immediately go to elusives? There's other things in Ionia. Control, Karma, Lee Sin. Plus, if you ask me, I really feel like, I think I feel like this was written like weeks and weeks ago because we've been seeing the rise of Ari Bard, and Ari Bard is really, really strong if you ask me. So I don't know. I feel like this is a weird buff. Maybe this will bring back Ari Zed, but it feels like people have realized that Ari Bard is just Ari Zed, but better, and doesn't really need Bard to buff Zed. Your contraption is 4 mana, so what? That's all I can really say. The only thing about this is it's nice for the Bandle Telstones, I guess, but I don't really see this card doing anything at all in the meta. This card is like, I've seen some people even say like, what about Bandle Tree? It's too high in terms of RNG. But I can honestly, really, it's like, I feel like if we hit a landmark heavy meta where like, I'd say like at least like 8% of the meta are very landmark centric decks, maybe you play Bandle Telstones for Yordle Contraption, but I just don't think this is a good enough buff. I don't think this will do much, and I definitely don't think you want to play Yordle Contraption itself in your deck. And our final buff, Zenith Blade, used to give Overwhelm. Now it only gives Overwhelm for the round. If Lee Sin wasn't already dead, he's really, really dead with this nerf, or at least Lee Sin Targon. Lee Sin Action with Absolver is still kind of around. Also, this probably really, really hurts Pantheon, which I'll be honest with you, I really hate playing against Pantheon. I've been beaten up by Pantheon so much, and just a big Overwhelm unit like a White Flame, Wounded White Flame, so honestly, I don't care too much, even though I love Targon. So, fuck Zenith Blade, basically. But yeah, this is, I don't know. I wish they would have made it 2 mana. This feels like it would have been a great, nice little side grade. Like, make it so the Overwhelm's only once a turn, but make it 2 mana. But maybe they tested that out and they were like, yeah, this seems a little too good with, say, like Lee Sin or something. So, I don't know. But feels like a really, really big nerf to this card. At the champion stuff here. Just some, stuff with the fragments. I'll be honest with you, I don't play Path of Champions, really, so I can't really talk too much about this. But we're getting some skins, some nice, like a nice Nami skin here. Looks really cute. Looks really beautiful. We got that there. Animation's really nice as well. Actually, we should unmute this so you can hear it. There we go. So yeah, very nice skin. Also, very lovely board. Like, look at that board. That is a very beautiful board. You got Bard, very, haha, I get it, Riot. Very funny joke, but, his, level up, it seems, is just his current level up, but wearing the Bard clothes, so there's that. Which, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this level up. I'm like, some of these level ups, the level ups outside of the Nami level up feel a little, cheap. Where it's just basically a reskin of the current level up. Like Bard, I think the Fizz level up is 1 too, if you ask me. I think just Longtooth pops out here, but he's a little different. Yep. I mean, there's some like other stuff too, like some gold coins and stuff, and dice and whatever, but meh. I mean, a lot of people love Fizz, and it is a really nice skin. Like, the art is really, really nice, and especially this art, like, very big Attack on Titan vibes here. So I like the artwork too. I'm not gonna buy it though, because I don't really play Fizz. If anything, I think I'd buy... I don't think I'd buy any of these skins. Maybe Lee Sin. Lee Sin doesn't have a level up, but it's a nice Lee Sin skin. Lee Sin's kind of bad right now, but Zillion? I like the Zillion skin. Really, really nice. And I do play a decent amount of Zillion. Leveled up Zillion looks so good though, and I mean, the decks I play Zillion, I almost never level them up. Basically, Echo Zillion. And I think the final skin is Riftmaster Darius. Love it. Very, very nice. Love the leveled up form of Darius too. Very big Batman vibes to me, at least with the helmet. Here's the thing though, Darius is not really a card I play too much, so I'm not going to buy it. The board, on the other hand, though, like, I love this board. This is such a cool looking board. I like the beach party board, the pool party board that I have right now, so I'm probably not going to buy this, but it's a really good board. Like, it looks so good. Like, the little game board in the middle, like the table on the left and right. Looks really nice. So, big fan of this board. High quality board, if you ask me. And then we got a couple of emotes too, like very great emotes too. Like perfect emote, just a nice sleeping emote when your opponent's roping you. Then when you're getting beat up, we have an emote here basically that can actually stand up to the sad poro for sadness emote. So very nice emote here. I might actually buy this emote. It's so good. As for the rest of the stuff, very big change here. There's a skip button now on the weekly vault, so you can skip the animation. I've heard some people say, like, why would you want to skip the animation? I pretty much have all the cards, so opening up the weekly vault is just like, cool, I'm going to get a bunch of shards. I don't care about it. Some bug fixes here, too, of course. I think this one right here fixed some issues preventing Bard from properly receiving level up progression when increasing the stats of allies. So that means, like, Bard wasn't leveling up as fast as he should have been. So Bard's actually stronger this patch now, if you ask me. Like, sure, they're bug fixes, but they were keeping those bug fixes were actually holding Bard, weren't even holding Bard back that much. And now that they're fixed, yeah, have fun playing Bard Ari is all I'm gonna say. But yeah, if you ask my overall opinion on the patch, I'd say it's solid. Like, I'd say it's like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, like very good. I hesitate to give it anything higher than an 8 though, because they didn't really buff the cards I like. Basically, I'm biased and I like control, and they didn't buff too many control stuff, and they nerfed a lot of control stuff, like Ezreal. But they nerfed things that I really didn't like, that I thought were problematic, like Turbo Thralls and to a lesser extent Infinite Action. I didn't really think Red Viego needed a nerf that much, but you know, nerfing Legion Deserter is nice too, even though it's not a game-ending nerf. They hit Broadwing, which is huge. I love that they hit that card. I'm glad that Demacia got a couple of big nerfs between Broadwing and Bright Seal Protector. Kind of wish they had nerfed a Rally as well, like Golden Age just a 5 mana or something, but it seems like they really like 4 mana Rally for Demacia, so whatever. But yeah, I kind of wish that we got another Karma buff, but I mean, they kind of gave us a Karma buff with the second spell technically being played now, so that's kind of nice. Same with like Lux and Jace also sort of getting buffs, so I guess you can say Control kind of got buffs that way, but whatever. But yeah, like, I don't know, Fang's not getting a buff, even though I feel like he should be a 3/2. No Fiora buff. Lots of cards that I feel like should have been buffed that didn't get buffed, and other cards that I feel like should have been nerfed that didn't get nerfed, like Bird, the 1 mana 2/1 guy. I feel like that guy should be a 1/1 for 1. Anyway, though, like I said, overall great patch. The video is getting a little long now, so we're gonna end it here. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all enjoy the patch as much as I do. Very fun meta so far from what I've played of it. I've been playing a lot of Spooky Karma, Shadow Isles Karma, basically. It seems really fun. Some Thresh Ace Sold 2 with Cam of War and Dragon seems solid. Can't wait to play some more, so I'd love to hear what you guys think about the patch, what kind of decks you guys are going to be trying out, and how you've been, how much success you've been having with the new, with the cards, with the buff cards, the nerf cards, etc., and the kind of decks you're brewing. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I would love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me and the channel out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, which I've been playing a lot of recently because of this patch, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zeneton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye!